Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm doing a walk around video of Goldy. Ever since I built this truck, everybody has been extremely interested in not necessarily how I built it. I think that's pretty self-explanatory, but what parts I used and where some things came from. So in this video I want to give you guys some insight on that. Just do a little bit of this and a little bit of that on it, and then you guys will know a little bit better. If you're interested in doing something like this to your truck, then you'll have a better idea and just know where I got some stuff on it. So start going around it and you guys have a better idea of it. All right, I would say the first thing with this truck is obviously the axle swap. This truck has a set of Ford axles out of an 06 Harley Davidson edition, 6.0 Power Stroke, 3/4 ton truck. It is the 10.5 Sterling and the Dana 60, or Super 60 as they call it, in the front. This axle in the front has factory lockouts, which are doing me great. Almost 2 years of wheeling on those, and has a spool in the front, stock axle shafts, nothing really fancy there, and some nitro 538s. In the rear, if you check out my other videos, I have put an e-locker out of a 2010 plus rear axle. Just drill a hole there, you might be able to see it, and you can put one of those in there with a simple switch and it works great. It's been doing me good as well. 10.5 as well with 538s. So yeah, axles themselves overall are a pretty simple setup. You can get them from any junkyard, so that's nice. Goldy's running a set of 17 by 8, I believe these are, Pro Comp. I cannot tell you the part number, but they were a super sale on Full Wheel Parts whenever I was putting this together. I got the wheels for super cheap. I want to say they were like $130 a piece or something, so that was pretty cool. And then picked up these 40 13.5 by 17 Nitto trail grapplers. I love these tires. The main reason I love these tires, I've seen better off-road, but these do great on-road. And whenever I drive this thing every day, that matters almost as much as my traction off-road. So once you get these aired down to about 8 pounds, 10 pounds, they do just fine. I mean, they're 40s, so you can imagine, but they are doing me well. I've got a little over 10,000 actual road, I got about 15,000 road miles on these now, and like I said, they're just doing me great. So super happy with those, would recommend them to anyone. I got these on a super deal, picked them up from a guy in Arkansas for $1,000 for the set. Good luck finding that deal now, but it's worked out for me. Really enjoying it. Goldy has 547,000 miles now. When I acquired this truck, it had right at low fives. It was like 518, I think. So put some miles on this thing. I drove it a little bit for a few thousand miles before I did the swap, but overall it's a 2-wheel drive pre-runner before all this. So internal, or I mean inside the cab, I mean, is in great shape. You know, you can't ask for better. I love these interiors and the look of these trucks. So fixing to get some seats put in there. I haven't done that yet. Just trying to decide what I want to do with that. But this is the inside shot. Nothing fancy. I had the console out of a 96. My donor truck for my 4-wheel drive was a 96. And I just used the center console and shifter, and it's all in the factory spot. Which then brings us down to the important stuff. I used a WFO Concepts. They're out of California. These guys do a sweet kit with these Dana 60s out of these newer trucks. These sorry, super 60s they call them. What they do is they retain, you can see here, the factory mounting spots on your axle. Now do not get me wrong, when you are running a radius arm setup like this, you are going to hinder your flex. Yes, it's not the biggest flex monster in the world. It could be better in that category, but this truck runs down the road amazing. I mean, on 40s, it's got a factory 3.4 in it, never been touched, and this thing drives just fine with those 538s. So that being said, anyone that was really looking to get somewhat of a bolt-on kit, I mean, it's not bolt-on, you have to weld this into your frame, the whole cross member section, but other than that, and some shock towers up here for your coilovers, it's pretty straightforward kit, and I'm enjoying it. I've really had no issues with it. Other than, like I said, you could have a little more flex out of the front end, but it does great. With this kit, it gives you everything to put your track bar in and mount to the frame on the other side. It uses factory steering if you so please. I'd opted to do that just for simplicity's sake, and it's doing me pretty well. I've got it bent a little bit, and I'm going to replace that also with WFO Concepts new tie rod link there. But I like it because these are factory tie rods, and if you happen to need one of these on the trail, you can go to the parts store and get one, and they're plenty tough the way they are. So I kept it that way. However you see it fit, it's done me well, and I wheel the crap out of this thing, and it hasn't let me down. So there's that for you guys. It all packages pretty nicely. You have to do a little thinking when you put the kit together as far as clearance and stuff, but their kit is awesome. I mean, you should look into it for sure. Whenever I did this kit, I could not decide what I wanted to do as far as coilovers. It recommends some 12-inch travel, so I went with the Fox. Shoot, they're the 2.5, I believe, and I can't remember the rates. 250/300, if I'm not mistaken, with reservoirs and stuff, and they've done me good. No question or no problems with those. I'm about to the point where I need to get them rebuilt and revalve them just to play with them a little bit, but they're doing great. I went with the locked Offroad, which I have a video of installing these early on and when I had this, in case we have any bottoming out issues, and they go nicely right here and hit the factory spring pad, so you can look at my video on that if that interests you. But other than that, to make this kit work, the only other thing you have to do is put some frame plates on, as you might notice here, and get you a ported box from Trail Gear, or do it yourself, and you would have everything you need in a steering kit from them, and then steering's covered and everything's taken care of. Pardon the mess under the hood, but I wanted to point out the things you have to do. I put a 4-bolt booster, which is out of an older truck, and a GM Master kit from Skies Offroad. They sell everything you need, give you the part numbers. I would advise getting a new master cylinder from somewhere. It'll say new. Make sure it's a new one, because if not, they leak. And yeah, anyways, so that's on here. Doing good. Stops amazing with the 40s and factory brakes, and of course you got to get extended brake lines with this kit, which they also sell. And it's just an awesome kit all around. I mean, it pretty well bolts in, no big deal. Moving over to this side, obviously you saw a little bit ago I have hydro steering, or hydro assist, sorry. PSC kit just for the 3/4. They give you everything needed, bolts right in there, no big deal, and does an awesome job turning this thing. Without it and it in full-wheel drive, I actually could not turn this thing with the spool in the front and everything. So let that be known. If you try to do this kit, you're gonna have to get some hydro assist, or you won't be able to steer it. So little note for you. Obviously did a K&N air intake on this. I did that not because I wanted to, but because the factory one broke. They're notorious for breaking right here because everything flexes, especially when your motor mounts go bad, like mine did. And you can catch a video on that. Put some bomb-proof mounts in that, and been doing good ever since as well. So that's about everything under the hood. Got my aux beam controller here. It's doing everything it needs to do for my lights, and that's about it under the hood. Moving on to the next thing closest to us here is the front bumper. I did not get my wits together enough to make a video building this. If you look back to my original build video on my channel, you can actually see me putting this together. It was just a picture by picture, nothing crazy, but I built this myself. I wanted it to be as tight to the grill as I could, and we only have a couple inches sticking out. It's super low profile. It's got the 12,000 synthetic Warn winch in there. Does the VR, it does great. Just took the winch controller, stuck it over here to the side. It's literally just been sitting there, been doing me good. If you look back here in my grill, this is my hydro, my power steering cooler is what it is. Don't mean to fancy that up. I just stuck it here in front of the grill, and I have not had any issues with this truck overheating or anything going down the road. As this truck sits, you may have seen me talk in previous videos. I put some 37s on this thing about a year ago and took this from the middle of Missouri all the way to California. Drove there, drove back. Did me really good, other than finally losing a fuel pump in Moab. We were visiting there, and my fuel pump went out. This truck has been many places, and it does good on-road and off-road. So just a little tidbit for you there too. Coming to the rear bumper, as you guys probably have noticed on, if you're watching this video now, you've probably seen this video on my channel as well of putting this Jeep bumper on my Toyota. Everyone laughs, everyone says, man, how could you do that? But you know why? Because it fits so great. You can check out that video, but I like the aesthetics of it. It does the job. I just was kind of looking for something and it popped out at me. So for the price that it was and how it turned out, I just put some outriggers here with some bracing and it's doing great. I need to still cut out where my hitch is because I do have a hitch back there, just can't tell. But it's there for if I want to tow anything. On the rear of this thing, I totally forgot. We were talking about the front suspension. In the rear of this thing, I have trail gear, 4-inch lift, I believe they are, springs from a mini truck. And what I did is just moved my factory perch, as a matter of fact, in case anyone is looking at this, is in the factory spot. A lot of people can't believe that, but it worked out great with some adjustable, sorry about that, adjustable spring mounts here. If you can see there, I moved it all the way back. Those are also from WFO, and made my mounts work in the back for my shackles, and it works great. I mean, it pretty well centered it where I needed it. So it flexes really good in the rear, it does everything it needs to there. Lastly, we'll talk about the gearing in the truck. Obviously, I said in the axles it has 5/38, which are perfectly geared. My speedometer's right on, everything turned out great, and I have factory gearing, believe it or not. I chose to do that because everything sits perfectly in that WFO cross member. I use a factory front drive shaft out of a four-wheel drive Tacoma, so you don't have to make any modifications there. And then in the rear, I actually did all this. I centered this around being able to use my factory rear drive shaft. My factory rear drive shaft will go in there. I got a Tom Woods rear one piece just for simplicity's sake and whatnot. But if I ever get in a pickle, I can actually put in and rebolt in my 2-piece. I have a special flange for that I had my best friend make, and he machined that up for me. So if I ever need it, I can do that. But that's where we're at. Otherwise, this is it. This is Goldy. This is her in all her might. It is a awesome machine. A lot of people ask questions, so I wanted to make this video for you. If you have any questions, I know I'm kind of spotty on what I touch base on, but it's pretty much the gist of what it is. If you guys have any questions about it or I left anything out that you might want to know, please reach out to me, send me a comment. I'm happy to answer any questions or anything. And yeah, so hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I encourage anyone that's wanting to do this, do it. You won't regret it. It turns heads. It's an amazing platform really to do this on, whether you use big axles or not. And as always, happy wrenching, guys. I hope you guys have a great holiday season as we're coming up on Christmas here. If you have any questions, like I said, let me know. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.